What's going on, guys? Rising Sonic here. 2024 has been a pretty decent year for video games, if I do say so myself. I didn't really buy a lot of new games this year, but the games I did buy mostly pertain to some of my favorite series. Like Persona 3 Reload was a really great remake of Persona 3. Sonic X Shadow Generations was a great remaster of my favorite Sonic game that was also packaged with a new game based on my favorite character. And while Dragon Ball Sparking Zero might not be perfect, I still think it's a worthy sequel to Tenkaichi 3. However, there was one game that I played this year that really surprised me that I didn't expect. And it's a little indie game called RKGK. Now, this game isn't really talked about, and I can't understand why, because this game is really, really good. And I'm gonna tell you why. RKGK, or Rakugaki, was a surprise I wasn't expecting. This game came out a couple months ago and I was recommended to it by a friend. I didn't hear anything about this game anywhere, but seeing the trailer had me intrigued. I like 3D platformers, it has graffiti and grinding like Jet Set Radio, and it also has this cool cyberpunk aesthetic, so I bought the game. After I finished the game, I ended up really enjoying it. A lot, actually. Not gonna lie, I think this is probably one of the most underrated games of the year. I don't usually play a lot of indie games, but I am so glad I picked up Rakugaki. This has just about everything I love in a 3D platformer. If I could try and best describe what Rakugaki is like, it's a 3D platformer collectathon in a similar style of Crash Bandicoot, which was the closest comparison I could think of. You play as Valah, this lovely lady right here. Your goal in each level is to get from point A to point B, but on the way there you spray these TV screens and there's a certain amount of them in each level. You definitely want to take your time to spray as many as possible because you're going to need a certain amount to get through each world's boss. The other collectibles come in the form of coins and ghosts. These also count as your currency. You can go into the shop in the hideout and buy outfits and other graffiti pieces. There are 3 ghosts in each level, but that doesn't mean they're the only way to collect ghosts. Each level actually has a set amount of missions to complete to earn a ghost. There's 3 time achievements, killing a certain amount of enemies, spraying all the screens, gathering a large amount of coins, getting an S rank at the end of the level, and not dying in the level. You can probably see now why I brought up the Crash Bandicoot comparison, because a lot of those requirements reminded me a lot of how Crash 4 handled their gems, which, dear God, all mentions of Crash 4's completion requirements must be purged. But don't worry though, Rakugaki is not awful compared to Crash 4 when it comes to this. You only have to do one variation of the level. There is a difficulty option to give yourself 5 hearts to allow for more mistakes, and traversal is much easier overall. It ain't all peaches and cream though, those timed achievements are no joke. You have to really pay attention to those TV screens as well, and getting those S ranks are tough. Speaking of tough, Rakugaki is one of the most difficult platformers I've played in a long while. It isn't ball-bustingly hard like a Ninja Gaiden or something, but it definitely is a platformer that can really keep you on your feet. I played this game on the hardest difficulty, which leaves you with only 3 hearts, so less room for mistakes. The game does get progressively harder as you go through each world, so there is no crazy difficulty spike randomly happening throughout each level, which is a good thing. The more you progress throughout the game, the more gimmicks they start to add, like certain obstacles being more prominent, the water constantly rising and you have to escape, gravity changing, an enemy chasing you constantly, or avoid getting detected by a light to not warn enemies. There are even special challenge levels in each world that come with their own gimmick, and these are also really fun challenges that test your abilities. If you're really good, you can breeze through these pretty quickly. Like with blindfold.exe, you see the goal is right in front of you, and when you run towards it, you fall down a pit and have to find your way back up. However, on replays, if you know where the pit is, you can avoid it and make it to the goal faster to reach that time achievement. Replayability, that's what I love to see. The enemy variety in this game is small, but they are used effectively and also play a part in the real challenging levels. You got your normal robots that die in 1 hit, the big guys that die in 3 hits, there's a flying one that charges projectiles at you, and then you also have the generic flying enemies. They do throw some curveballs, like enemies you can't attack with standard graffiti strikes, enemies with shields above them so you can't hover on them to destroy them, and they have a lot of these enemies that explode when you approach them. They love using these guys to really disrupt your progress when platforming, and they could be in the most evil spots sometimes with the shockwave robots. Sometimes they just want to be throwing these turrets at you to cover so much range and having you do the tightest platforming challenges. You gotta be on your toes at all time and use your camera to always keep your eyes on where the turrets are. It does get challenging, yes, but nothing ever feels unfair, which is a good thing. What helps complement the wonderful level design is the fact that this game controls like a dream. This is one of the best controlling platformers I've ever had the pleasure of playing in my hands. Valah has an overall very floaty jump, and you have a lot of air control. Valah can do a double jump, an air graffiti attack that can also be used as a triple jump. She can do an air dash, a wall jump, hover in the air for a short period of time, and she has a grappling hook that only works on specific enemies in a specific area. Her ground movement is also really good. While her initial run is rather slow, she is able to do a dash without consuming any resources. It is a little more slippery, but it's still overall very smooth to control. You can use graffiti attacks outside of a dash, and you can also slide. My favorite part about controlling Valah is that you're able to be really flexible with your air actions. You could do a double jump, triple jump, air dash, and then end it with a hover, or alternatively, you could do a double jump, air dash, then do a triple jump afterwards. I don't know a lot of platformers that give you freedom like this with your jumps besides like Mario Odyssey. One of the big gimmicks of this game is the diffuser mode. If you're able to get your meter up by constantly moving and doing different actions on top of spraying graffiti, you enter a special mode where your dash is able to break through enemies that doesn't nullify ground attacks, and you also get a speed boost. This game also does the thing where the music gets more amped up when you stay in diffuser mode, like how Devil May Cry 5's music gets crazier when you're doing really well in combat. The level also gets brighter. Your meter goes down completely when you get hit, and it goes down slowly when you aren't constantly moving. So you have an incentive to always make sure you're in diffuser mode at all times. This game was able to achieve all the things a 3D platformer should have to be really great. Great controls that allow for flexibility, varied level design that also incentivizes replayability, difficulty that doesn't feel unfair or cheap, collectibles that grant you really good rewards. The rewards are really nice in this game. Seeing all the costumes that Valah can wear in this game, there are a lot of them. And you can also mix and match your styles. I love this. I spent a couple of minutes in this menu just oogling at Valah and all the different outfits she can rock, trying to figure out what I even want to wear. Giving me customization options like this enables my inability to stick to one thing. This game managed to check all the boxes for me on the gameplay front with little to no complaints. The visuals for this game are also really striking. Despite being in a dystopian cyberpunk world, this game is still able to bring out a lot of bright colors. Even the different factories we explore don't feel like a drab to look at. It also helps that we have a very colorful main character constantly spraying graffiti all over the place. The graffitis themselves in the game also look really good. I love how they always pop out at the end of each level. I wish we were able to have a bit more of these animated cutscenes because these are freaking gorgeous. However, the in-game cutscenes are not very good. They're in this visual novel type structure and it's pretty stilted and flat looking. They do try to make expressions pop and sometimes it doesn't really turn out well. The voice acting isn't bad though. Valah does have that typical I'm the super cool and hyper energetic female protagonist voice. You know, always coming in with the cheesy one-liners and sometimes cringe lingo. You know the ones.
Shut up. I can smell your breath from down here.
By the way, it is awfully brave, or awfully stupid, to just put on some random headset you found.
Well, I am. Brave, not stupid.
Characters like these can always end up being very annoying, but Valah didn't end up bothering me too much. I did roll my eyes at a few lines, but she's fine. Dr. Buff is easily the highlight of the game here. I think his performance is great and he steals the show for me every time.
You hooked yourself to the headset, and I trapped you here without you even realizing it. Everyone you know is dead.
No, that's...
I won, Valah.
That's impossible! Io? I let everyone down.
Okay, you know what? I'm sorry. That was mean, even for me.
Huh?
I'm kidding! I mean, you've been in this place before. Oh, man! Your face, though!
What I am kind of bummed about is that we have these extra side characters who are part of your gang, and they don't even do much in the story. Which makes me sad because I think their designs are really nice, especially these two. I love these two. This girl has an NES on her body. That's hilarious. I would have loved these guys to be playable characters with their own unique moves, or they could just be skin swaps. Even if they aren't active in the story, you can actually go and talk to these guys to get some extra backstory about them and see how Valah interacts with her friends. I think this is where all of the good writing is at with this game. You get a number of heart-to-heart moments with your friends, especially with Io. It reminds me a lot of why I love the special interactions in Jet Set Radio Future, despite them being optional and easy to miss. You just want to see how the characters are doing in certain situations. I like it. There is only one negative thing that I have to say about this game, and it has to do with the soundtrack. So, while I was recording this game, I actually tried to look up the OST on YouTube to try and listen to it, and to my surprise, no one has ever uploaded the music to this game yet. So I decided to listen to the music in-game, and I don't think it's very good. Not that it sounds horrible, but the music in this game is pretty boring. There really isn't a standout track in this game that made me go, yo, this song is crazy! The techno, dubstep, EDM just doesn't really hit in this game. Not that I hate that genre of music, but here it's very quiet and most of the time it doesn't carry a level of intensity and excitement while playing this game. It's lacking energy. Now I just kind of play my own music while I'm playing this game, and I have more energetic music while going through these levels as fast as I can, and it definitely helps a lot. It's a shame that the soundtrack didn't hit for me. Again, the music in this game isn't bad per se, it's just a little disappointing and it is lacking energy for a game in this style. Overall, I'm telling you guys to go buy RKGK, and it's a darn shame that this great game isn't talked about. I didn't know what to expect when I first got it, but it ended up becoming one of my favorite games of the year. An excellent platformer with tons of replay value to it, and you want to know the best part? This game is only $20 on Steam right now. $20! A great game like this for only 20 bucks? That is a steal right there. Get this game right now.
if you're a big fan of platformers and a fan of the Jet Set Radio cyberpunk style. I hope this game gets a sequel. They did tease there's going to be a new venture at the end of the game, but who knows? I hope another game does come because I want more of this game. Buy this game. Buy this game, please.